Well, it's time to say goodbye. It's been good to us for over 2 decades. We've been super successful with it. Just like everything else, it's had its expiration date. Got some things we're gonna be changing here on the White Turbo Fox body today you might be interested in. So this is my 87 Ford Mustang. It's got a 363 stroker, custom turbo kit, precision turbo. Got a lot of really good parts in it. We made about 844, 1,000 horsepower torque to the wheels. So we've been tuning on Binary Editor and Modes Quarter Horse for a number of years on multiple cars here on the channel and been very successful with it. But it's time for a change, and I'm gonna talk about what's behind me here on this table. 555937F Holley Terminator X kit. At Anderson Ford Motorsports, they actually have a Gen 2 kit, has been modified by MF Customs. We're gonna get all this stuff on this table. All this stuff is gonna slowly disappear. We're gonna get it installed in the white car. Of course, wires switching over to a Holley. Tuning, boost control, and I think we're leaving about 10% horsepower on the table and ET. Street driven, daily driver, and this is probably one of the biggest mods that we can do. Instead of pushing the car out, we're gonna give it one last fire on the Modes Quarter Horse. So we're actually gonna move the car over a little bit so we can take advantage of the LED lights, as we're mostly gonna be working out of the engine bay and the passenger seat. Not a super difficult install like I had mentioned. So there are some plugs that look familiar that's been modified, like the IAC and the TPS. And we're gonna unwire it from the engine bay. We're gonna take it out from the passenger pillar, and then we're gonna go right into the install. First things first, gotta disconnect the battery. As you can see, I got a fuel pump relay already mounted on some mounting studs here. So since there's only a couple wires that's coming back here to the battery, negative, positive, there's also a fuel pump aftermarket relay I have set up, if you see down here. Okay, and away we go. Take out the mass air meter. One of the issues if you're having an intermittent misfire at the top, this plug, just having a signal issue. Pull on the mass air meter. Start pulling some injector clips. What's nice about this TrickFlow box R is I can get to all the injector harness. We're gonna be retaining the stock ECT sensor inside the cluster. So Cousin Paul's also unhooking the O2s. That's one thing that we're not gonna need on this system anymore is the map or the O2s. We have a 3-bar map already for this car that's part of the Holley system, so we no longer need the O2 harness as well. Heading into the coil. Normally on a stock removal, you just pop this clip up. You would just pop this clip up off the coil and it's part of your engine harness, but this has already been modified. Cousin Paul's actually got the O2 harness and most of that mass air harness from that side already out. So on an 87 and 90, you're gonna be disconnecting these gray and black plugs at the brake booster. We're gonna actually be tying into these with the extra cannon plugs that we got. Got a couple things to snip back here. This is the old map. Remember guys, this is push and pull, not pull the clips out. That's how a lot of those salt and pepper shakers get broken. We can go ahead and take our aftermarket guide. One of the nice things about doing this install I wanted to make mention of, I can actually take some of these old gauge pods, AFR, oil, water, and I can start removing them because I'm not going to need them anymore. Holley's going to have this on their dash. We're going to continue unclipping all the mess that we used to have. See that corrosion in there? It's just a test box. But imagine how many plugs are starting to get like that. Gotta be careful. Gotta update what you can, especially when you're getting into like a mildly or heavily modified vehicle. Injector harness out. We made a quick disconnect at the ECT. Got the IAC. The TPS, which we already have plugs for, not a big deal, so we don't even have to mess with the TPS. Got to unplug the salt and pepper shakers back here. It's going to be nice to be able to get rid of some of this stuff. So I think I'm actually going to come in here and go ahead and pull this and unscrew it from and get the ground off. Just run the harness right here. Looks like there's plenty of room for the Terminator. Modify that bracket to make the Terminator fit. Just like a 9/32 bolt and the 10 mil at the top here. So this is our sub harness to work with our factory tack and signals inside. This is our coil. Nothing like unraveling 20 years of engine harness. Got a connection here at the solenoid. Got the ground connection we just talked about. Got your coil here. Pulling out the old. A lot of things it's twisted into here. Gonna have Cousin Paul pull out the map, as we no longer need this. Speed Density Cars has a tube going to the intake. I run an aftermarket boost gauge. I can probably get rid of this. And ECU's ready to come out. Been good to me. It's always fun to find these things. That was a terrible reaction. Well, that 60 foot was terrible too. We're just gonna go ahead and pull this out of the way for now. Little ground right here. It's right here on the panel. Harness is ready to come out. Probably best to just pull this relay. Makes it a little bit easier. Disconnect from the dash harness. But you're gonna have to like kind of wind it up into past the heater box. So let's go. If you're running smog and stuff, you're gonna have to disconnect these thermactor valves or whatever. It hasn't been out in years. This is a mass air conversion car too, 87. So I've actually had this out. And it's kind of nice. You just do like a twisting motion, relay through, pull the green plug through. Pretty easy to come through there. Getting these things out of the way does help a lot.
Just pop this out first, and then it pulls right out.
If the harness coming out of your car is in good shape, leave it be. Don't hack it up if you don't have to. It'll still hold its value with the car. In my opinion, having the original parts, if you ever sell the car, it's definitely a sell factor.
So the Moats quarter horse from some of the old school chips back in 20 years ago. This is the J port. These connections would start to go bad, wreak a little bit of havoc. So there was a little 2032 battery here. You would lose your whole tune if that battery went dead. So it did really well. Moats quarter horse did what it needed to do. It's now a stock computer again. Just cover the J port up. I know nobody really cares, but it still works. So like I said, we've been very successful with what we had, enough to the point that we figure that we're leaving ET and horsepower on the table.
So at this point, we're gonna go ahead and end the video, as I wanted to show you what the disassembly would be like. I would like to dedicate the next video to nothing but install. That way I don't miss anything for you. For the most part, it's not all that difficult, but there are some tips and tricks on how to remove it. And once again, keeping that stuff in a box for another day may not be a bad idea. In the upcoming videos, we're going to be installing the Terminator X one piece at a time. And I'm going to show you how I installed it on my higher horsepower Fox Body Mustang here on the channel. And maybe there's something that might help one of you guys. As I look forward to sharing that here on the channel, as it's something we have talked about for many years now. So stick around, take a quick sneak peek, let me know what you think.